where they've said I said things, like I may have said something hostile to a member of another band, but they've turned around.
Say the name Axl Rose, and you think chaos, brilliance, and unpredictability. The frontman of Guns N' Roses could shift from a whisper to a scream in an instant, spend years obsessing over one album, and still leave crowds in awe. But Axl wasn't just known for his music. His temper and brutal honesty made him one of rock's most volatile figures. Unlike other stars who played nice for the cameras, Axl called things as he saw them. "I don't do fake," he once told Rolling Stone. If something sucked, he said it. His feuds weren't about petty jealousy. They were battles over what he believed rock should stand for: authenticity, danger, and power. And if you crossed his vision, you became an enemy fast. Today, we're counting down 6 musicians who felt the full force of Axl Rose's legendary wrath. Number 6. Jon Bon Jovi. When it comes to surprising rivalries, few were as unexpected as the Cold War between Axl Rose and Jon Bon Jovi. On the surface, they couldn't have been more different. Axl was the outlaw of rock, unpredictable, explosive, and adored for the chaos he carried with him. Jon, meanwhile, was the polished, good rocker, even landing on People magazine's list of the 50 most beautiful people in the world. They lived on opposite ends of the rock spectrum. But in 2006, that split turned personal. The usually diplomatic Bon Jovi stunned fans when he unleashed a bitter rant at Rose. His issue? The media's obsession with Axl's notorious reputation. In an interview with the New York Post, Jon admitted he was furious that Rose dominated headlines despite Guns N' Roses having not released new music in over a decade. He sneered, "That hasn't made a record in 13 years, and he gets all that attention. Do you know what I've done in 13 years? A lot. But they keep writing about the freak show aspect of him because he's a recluse." To Jon, the spotlight was unfair. He saw himself as the hard-working songwriter still putting out albums, while Axl's fame seemed fueled more by chaos than music. And yet, in a twist nobody expected, Axl didn't bite back. The man known for brutal takedowns and volcanic tirades simply ignored it. No insults, no revenge, nothing. For fans, it was unsettling. Some praised Axl for refusing to fuel the fire, while others were disappointed. Instead of a legendary slugfest, the feud ended in silence. Bon Jovi's jealousy left hanging in the air, unanswered. Number 5. James Hetfield. Few rivalries were as one-sided and long-lasting as Axl Rose versus James Hetfield. It all started with the infamous Montreal disaster in 1992. Metallica was on stage when a pyrotechnic accident seriously burned Hetfield, cutting their set short and leaving fans restless. Then, Axl and Guns N' Roses came on, only to leave the stage after a short performance due to vocal issues. The result? Chaos. Fans rioted, cars were overturned, and the night went down in rock history as a full-scale disaster. For James, the anger didn't fade. Unlike Axl, who largely stayed silent, Hetfield repeatedly mocked Rose over the years. Footage shows him ridiculing Axl's tour rider in 1992, doing it again in 1995, and later joining Jason Newsted and Kirk Hammett in 1998 for Behind the Music, revisiting the Montreal riot with clear disdain. Rumors even suggest that Metallica's song King Nothing was inspired by Rose, a subtle jab at the Guns N' Roses frontman. What makes this feud striking is how one-sided it was. Axl spoke about Hetfield only once, briefly in 1992, and then moved on. Hetfield, however, kept bringing up Axl, keeping the resentment alive well into the early 2000s. Not all of Metallica shared the grudge. Lars Ulrich got along with Axl and even attended reunion shows. But James never reconciled. For him, the Montreal disaster and Axl's short temper became a lingering grudge, one that Axl simply ignored. In this rivalry, it was clear. Axl moved on, while Hetfield carried the anger for decades. Number 4, Vince Neil. Few feuds in rock were as personal and long-lasting as the one between Axl Rose and Vince Neil. It all started over a minor incident. Izzy Stradlin allegedly hit Vince's girlfriend at a party. But what could have been a small spat quickly exploded into decades of animosity. Axl saw Vince as the embodiment of everything shallow about the Sunset Strip scene: big hair, flashy attitude, and a focus on image over substance. The rivalry reached its boiling point at the 1989 MTV Video Music Awards, when Neil challenged Rose to a fight across the venue. According to security, Axl's response was immediate and brutal. "I'll fight you right now, you bloated has-been. At least when I hit notes, they're the ones I'm aiming for." It wasn't just about personal insults. Axl's fury stemmed from what he saw as Vince's lack of skill. During Use Your Illusion recording sessions, producer Mike Klink recalled Axl losing his temper whenever someone compared their voices. "Don't compare my voice to someone who sounds like he's gargling whiskey. I've trained for years while he's been destroying his." The feud carried on through tours, with alleged death threats exchanged via intermediaries. Venue security eventually created completely separate arrival and departure protocols for the two. For Axl, Vince Neil wasn't just a rival, he was a living symbol of the superficiality he despised in rock, a reminder of everything he had fought to rise above. Number 3. Fred Durst. In the chaotic world of rock feuds, few are as unexpected as the one between Axl Rose and Fred Durst. On the surface, their rivalry seemed improbable. Axl, the enigmatic frontman of Guns N' Roses, and Fred, the outspoken lead of Limp Bizkit, hailed from different musical worlds. Yet, their paths crossed in a way that would ignite tensions. The feud began when Fred Durst made a bold claim during a 2015 performance. At the Reading Festival, Durst announced to the crowd, "I'd like you to know that we're responsible for Axl and Slash being back together. We had a meeting and it went really well." This statement suggested that Durst played a pivotal role in reconciling the estranged Guns N' Roses members. L4 Lumens. However, Axl Rose was not amused. He responded with characteristic disdain, dismissing Durst's involvement and reaffirming his own role in the band's dynamics. The tension between the two was palpable, with Axl's sharp retorts and Fred's provocative statements fueling the fire. Despite the animosity, the feud between Axl Rose and Fred Durst was relatively short-lived. The public spat didn't escalate into a prolonged rivalry, but it served as a reminder of the unpredictable nature of rock and roll relationships. Number 2. Scott Weiland. The tension between Axl Rose and Scott Weiland ran deeper than simple musical rivalry. Both were powerful frontmen, but they represented very different sides of rock. Axl was the volatile, perfectionist powerhouse of Guns N' Roses, while Scott, frontman of Stone Temple Pilots, brought a moody, grunge-infused charisma that defined the decade of the 90s. Their conflict began quietly, simmering beneath the surface, but became more public in the early 2000s. Axl reportedly saw in Scott a reflection of what could happen if one let personal demons take over addiction, missed opportunities, and the destructive side of fame. According to former Guns N' Roses manager Alan Niven, Axl viewed Scott as someone who had let his darkness win, and it reminded him of battles he had fought in his own life. The feud flared publicly in 2006 when Weiland launched a harsh jab at Axl, calling him a fat, Botox-faced, wig-wearing expletive, igniting a media-fueled back and forth. Axl, as usual, responded with icy silence or sharp understatements, letting the insult linger without giving it the attention Weiland might have hoped for. Even so, there were moments of grudging acknowledgement. Later in life, Weiland admitted he could relate to Axl's struggles and chaos, hinting at a shared understanding of the pressures of fronting a massive rock band. But the rivalry, personal and professional, remained a defining part of both men's public personas. For Axl, Scott Weiland was a reminder of what rock could become if ambition and talent collided with personal weakness, a cautionary mirror to his own career. Number 1. Slash. The most devastating and personal musical hatred in Axl Rose's career wasn't aimed at a rival frontman or a rival band. It was aimed at his former best friend and creative partner, Slash. This wasn't just about musical differences. It was the collapse of one of rock's greatest partnerships and the bitter aftermath that lasted decades. The tension began during the Use Your Illusion sessions, when Axl's perfectionism clashed with Slash's instinctive approach. Hours spent crafting the perfect vocal part could be undone in a single take when Slash nailed a guitar solo effortlessly. To Axl, it looked like carelessness. To Slash, it was just working in his natural rhythm. What transformed creative friction into deep-seated hatred was Axl's belief that Slash was actively undermining his vision, going to the press, turning bandmates against him, and sabotaging ideas. The breaking point came in 1996 when Slash left Guns N' Roses. Axl reportedly told close friends, "I trusted him with my life, my art, my dreams. He threw it all away because he couldn't handle not being the star." That's not a creative difference, that's character assassination. Former drummer Matt Sorum called the feud the most toxic thing I've ever witnessed in rock. Even the 2016 reunion wasn't about forgiveness. Sources close to negotiations revealed Axl's words to his management. "I'm not doing this because I forgive him. I'm doing this because I'm finally strong enough to stand next to my past without it destroying my future." For Axl Rose, Slash wasn't just a collaborator, he was the ultimate rival, the one whose absence and betrayal left a scar deeper than any musical disagreement ever could.